hit the cold plunge, meditation, manifestation, journal, put the thoughts down, CBD drops, just a little bit of yoga, energy, prime drink, ready for your first day of DoorDashing. Welcome Dash fam, I'm the best Dasher alive, aka Young Money Dash Money, here with some super dank tips for your first day DoorDashing. The tips are too hot, they're coming. First things first, obviously make sure you've downloaded the Dasher app, make sure you've got completely signed up and you've added in your payment details so you're ready to dash and you're ready to get paid right after you're done dashing. Make sure you've got a workable phone, doesn't have to be a good phone, just a workable phone that's got maps on it and that has good data. Data is the main thing. You're definitely going to be using data on this job, so make sure you've got good service, good data. You still might hit some dead spots, but the better, the better. Truthfully, you probably shouldn't even be watching this video because my next tip is just get out there and start doing it. Just do your first delivery, do your first 2 deliveries. You're gonna learn pretty much all about it. Not all about it, but you're gonna get everything you need to know pretty much within like your first few deliveries. There's no need to be super stressed or very anxious about it. Honestly, it's super chill. It is as straightforward as it sounds. You just go pick up the food at the restaurant and then you take it to the address to the person's house. It really is that simple. With that said, don't rush. Definitely take your time and know that you have time. DoorDash is going to try and give you countdown timers and say you have to deliver by this time. And honestly, again, don't worry about that stuff. You'll get there on time as long as nothing goes super wrong. There's no need to drive fast. Even when you're like a veteran dasher, you're still gonna realize yes, just straight speeding doesn't really help you out at all. So don't rush in your car. Don't rush through the restaurant. If you are getting overwhelmed, if you need a second, then in the top left of your app, you can click the 3 lines and then you have the option to pause your dash. Use that as much as you want. It's not gonna harm you or you're not gonna be punished for using that button or anything like that. You have 35 minutes, I believe, once you do hit that, but you don't have to wait the full 35 minutes. You can pause it for 30 seconds and then click resume. You are always on camera. There's your phone camera. My guess is when you signed up, DoorDash had you do the biometric data scan. Yeah, DoorDash is watching you. It's watching your biometric data. Also, all the cameras in the restaurants and on the roads, those are all watching you. And then also all the doorbell cameras and all the cameras around people's houses, those are also watching you. And then also the customers are watching you out of their windows too.
Ashley, look at me.
You're being watched. Keep that in mind as you're dashing. Always assertively and politely ask whatever you need to ask for. Whether that's at the restaurant, you need to ask an employee if the order's on the way, or if you're going to drop it off at the customer's house and you've got a question about anything, a gate code, which turn, where's the door at. Know that you can absolutely and you should be bold enough and straightforward enough to ask the questions that you need to ask to be able to do your job well. Some places do kind of look at the dashers as like lowest tier, bottom of the totem pole. We don't really, don't really matter that much to us. Still, politely and assertively, do what you gotta do. Ask the questions you gotta ask. See if the food's on the way. See how much time it's gonna take. You're running your business, especially when you're new and it's your first day. You don't even have to use that as an excuse. You can just be honest about that. If you have a question or if something's kind of going wrong or you're unsure about something, let whoever it is know. Hey, it's my first day, I've got this question. Almost everybody always understands what it's like to start a new job, to be doing something new you haven't done before, and will be nicer and more willing to help you out if they know that little piece of information. Inside the app, I'm gonna list off some things here, just ignore them, forget them after I say this, but there's gonna be, the different routes, the mileage, how much you're gonna pay. The total might be higher. There's the high pay priority orders, then there's the high pay plus orders, then there's the pizza orders, and there's the shop orders. My recommendation is just take the offers that come, accept them, complete them, pick them up where it says, drop them off. Do that for your first day, and then after that first day you'll have learned a lot. You can go back and kind of evaluate it, and then the next time, maybe if you choose to, you can do things a little bit differently. This one's not even necessary. I kind of hesitate to even mention this because you don't need it. And if it's a extra complication for you in any way, then I'd say don't worry about it on your first dash, but get some sort of insulated bag. I'll leave one linked in the description, the one that I like to use. But just so that if you get ice cream or hot food, you can stick it in there and it'll keep the hot food hot or the cold food cold, which is a really nice thing for the customers to get their food hot or cold like it's supposed to be. I mentioned the little thing about the cameras earlier, which is super true, but besides that, there's no one watching you. There's no boss hovering over your shoulder, making sure you're doing everything right, making sure you're hitting the times right. Yeah, like the app, the algorithm, watching your GPS and paying attention to your times and all that. If you just need to use the bathroom, then just use the bathroom on your own terms. You don't have to like tell the app that you're taking a bathroom break. I'd recommend getting to know the app beforehand. I think that's smart. Like just before you start your first dash, walk through all the little buttons, kind of read through stuff, familiarize yourself so you're not going into it completely blind when you start dashing. If you do want a full walkthrough of the app, I also just uploaded a video recently with an updated app tutorial. Don't worry about what you're wearing. I would just say get comfortable, like be clean and presentable, but like you can definitely be super duper casual and comfortable. If you want to like dress a little nicer, that's cool too. Always skip to the front of the lines. I've only ever had one person out of like 4,000 plus deliveries say anything to me about cutting the line, because most people realize pretty quickly that, oh, that's just someone here to pick up their food, and the restaurant employees also are pretty good at noticing that that's what you're there for. If you ever do have a problem, you can reach out to a DoorDash support agent. Now, if they're basic problems, they'll be able to help you out pretty much really well. If they're maybe a little bit more complicated, maybe not. Sometimes those agents are kind of hit or miss. You can just click the question mark in your app in the top right corner, and then it says DoorDash support or something like that. If you click there, it gives you the option to chat or call the agent, whichever you prefer. If you do choose to chat, just know that it's going to try and walk you through a menu. If you just type the word agent and hit enter, it'll get you a live agent. If there's anything you don't understand in the app while you're dashing, or if there's just something you want to be able to spend a little bit more time looking at, just take some screenshots while you're dashing. Very fast, very easy, and you can come back and reference it later. I also think it's smart to have a roll of paper towels or a rag or two, just in case you do kind of spill something or something gets a little bit messy. When you first start using the DoorDash app, it's going to default to in-app navigation. I would suggest just switching that to whether you use Apple Maps or Google Maps or Waze. Select whichever one of those you use and use that. Once you accept an offer, when you're headed to the restaurant, there's going to be an instructions section for if the restaurant wants to give you any instructions. Ignore that. The restaurant's instructions section is oftentimes outdated, but the customer instructions, once you've picked up the order, then it shows you the screen with the customer and the customer's address. On that screen, there's going to be an instructions section, and that's the section for the customer to leave you instructions for when you're dropping off their order. Always check that section, and always follow the instructions in that section. That's going to be a great way for you to get some 5-star reviews out of customers as well. With that said, don't be what I will call a customer service superstar. Like, your job, again, don't overcomplicate it. It's not to be some customer service superstar. Your job is to deliver food, to pick it up and drop it off at the location. Do a good job. If you need to reach out, ask a question, obviously do that. Communicate when you need to, but don't over communicate. Most of these people that you're going to come across, they're just looking to have the food show up on their doorstep so they can eat. You'll have noticed that when you signed up for the app, it asked you to input a vehicle. Do know that what you actually dash in doesn't have to match what it says in the app. You can dash still in whatever you want. If you're in something different than what's in the app, you don't have to update it to be able to dash. You can just get out there and dash. If you are in a car, I would recommend making sure it's fully gassed up before you head out. At least have enough gas. And then also just make sure it's registered and insured, and then don't be driving reckless or speeding, just because if you get in an accident or if you get pulled over and you have to deal with fines or citations, that's most likely automatically going to exceed any earnings you're going to make in that day. After you've completed your first dash, I recommend doing a little post-dash review. Once you've finished the dash, DoorDash will give you a dash summary. It'll say how much you made, how many hours, how many deliveries, how much you got paid for each delivery, what the tips were on each delivery. Just go through, look at all that, familiarize yourself. Especially take how much you made and divide that by how many hours you were dashing to figure out how much your hourly rate was. And then if you want to transfer your money, you can do that immediately after your dash as well. Look into your ratings, see if those updated at all. And then if you took any screenshots during your dash that you wanted to go back and look over, that would be a good time to do it as well. And the last one here, honestly, is very helpful. It doesn't necessarily translate to a lot of extra earnings, although it maybe could a little bit, but it definitely does translate to like a more peaceful, calm, less stress day of dashing. And the tip here is just to know your area really well. This isn't something you can just do in a day, right? But the better you know your area, the parking lots, the streets, the stop signs, where you can U-turn, where you can't, all that, where's traffic heavy, what times of the day is it heavy. It's just a little bit more exhausting when you don't know the area. So that one totaled $15, not the $13.50 it originally said. Out of zone again.